If you only had 10 minutes in front of the doctor, and those 10 minutes could make the difference between your life, your health, or not, would you know what to say to the doctor so they could make the right diagnosis? Would you know what questions to ask to clear up all your doubts? Today, I took off my lab coat, but I'm still speaking as a doctor. What I'm about to say is very important for both doctors and patients. So pay attention because today is a little different. Today, no lab coat. I'm Drive. Christian Souza. I've been a doctor for 20 years, with over 15 years in cardiology, and I'm here to help you and your loved ones, your friends, your family, to identify problems and find solutions for those problems in the cardiology office. Stay with us until the end, and you'll see how this video can help you and those you love. This week, I saw a patient, and in the middle of the appointment, I already realized I was going to spend quite a bit of time with her. But I persisted. I kept asking questions, and at the end of the appointment, she made a classic request to me. Doctor, I forgot to tell you, can you write me a prescription for the medicine I take? But what do you mean? Which medicine? She said it was a medicine she forgot to mention to me. When she said the name of the medicine, I took a deep breath and said, Ma'am, why didn't you tell me this earlier? And she said, I forgot. And I had asked her what medicine she uses, what illnesses she has. I asked all the questions. And at the end of the appointment, I got a piece of information that made me have to go back to the beginning and redo all my clinical reasoning. It's not a problem because I'm a doctor who gives time to my patients. I usually tell my patients that there usually aren't, but there could be 10 patients waiting for me outside. When I'm seeing a patient, it's as if I only have that one person to see the whole day. I spend as much time as needed, 15, 30 minutes. Many times, I've spent more than an hour with patients here in the office just to really figure out what they had, what was important, and how to provide an appropriate and coherent treatment for that patient. So that you, doctor, don't go through this either, pay attention to this video and share it. And you, patient, you as a patient, pay attention to this video, to the information I'm going to give, because it can help you save time. It's not just about the doctor's time, but your time as well. Sometimes you could be doing something else instead. And regarding the doctor, unfortunately, some doctors only have 10 minutes, really. Doctors who work with insurance plans, which pay little, unfortunately can't spend much time talking with the patient. So they're very concise and end up missing a lot of things. Nothing against that, it's just a specific situation. And so that this doesn't happen, I'm going to teach you some tips. Both patients and doctors, pay attention. What to do so that you can make the right diagnosis and get all the necessary information. So let's get started. The first point is this: understand the complaint. So before you come to the doctor, maybe try making some notes too. And write down these things I'm about to tell you as well. Point number one: why are you going to the doctor? What are you going for? What's the goal? Are you feeling anything? Okay, so if you're feeling something, write down the symptom. When did this symptom start? Has it been 7 days? Has it been a week, a month, a year? It doesn't matter. Write it down. I've been feeling this for this long. How the symptom has progressed. After I started feeling this, it turned into that. Then another symptom showed up. And if there's anything you do that makes the symptom better or worse. A classic complaint would be, for example, chest pain. Chest pain that started 30 minutes ago or a year ago. The treatment's completely different. Chest pain that gets worse when you move your chest, and chest pain that gets worse when you exert yourself, the treatment is completely different. So point out and name the symptoms, how they progress, and what makes them better or worse. This is important, once again, so that the diagnosis is correct. And so you don't waste too much time on a bunch of other things or other problems you might also have. Doctor, it's important for me to tell you as well that I also have some illnesses. And then comes the second part. What are all the illnesses you have? Maybe, which is very common, sometimes the patient doesn't know the name of the illness. And that's okay, there's no problem with that. However, it's important for you to try to explain it as best as you can. For example, doctor, I have a thyroid problem. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know it's a thyroid problem. And still, in this part about previous illnesses, if you've had any surgery, doctor, I have a thyroid problem because I had thyroid surgery. And still on this topic of medical history, if you take any medication, look how interesting. Doctor, I have a thyroid problem because I had thyroid surgery, and now I have to take medication to treat this problem. So, this information in this sequence is important to name and identify a problem and to see if it has any connection with your initial symptom or not. It's also important, as I just mentioned, to bring the names of all your medications. I usually ask patients, in fact, to bring the brand of the medication. So, not just the generic or pharmacological name. And if possible, at least for me, I don't mind if that happens. I actually prefer that the patient brings the bag, or the box in some cases, with all the medications they use. Guys, honestly, this makes things easier. It doesn't make them more complicated. It makes things easier because you put the medication up here and say, doctor, I take this one in the morning, this one I take at night. That's it. The doctor will look at the medication and identify the brand, see if it's generic or not, and check if there's any mistake regarding the medication. So it's important to bring the name of the medication, the milligrams. Just a side note here, the package insert isn't enough because sometimes the package insert lists several different dosages. So preferably bring the whole box, or if that's not possible, the blister pack, or less ideal but still better than nothing, also the name of the medication with the milligrams and the time you take it. Already have this written down and bring it with you. So even herbal medicines, which are plant-based remedies, are important. So bring everything, okay? And if you're a doctor, please don't get upset with the patient if they do this. On the contrary, understand that this actually helps you. It helps you understand what the patient is taking and, obviously, how the treatment will go from here on out. It's important to remember that many complaints, many symptoms that the patient feels can actually be related to adverse effects, side effects caused by these medications. That's why it's important for us to understand this, among other reasons. The next point is about tests. I think this week I had at least 2 patients who already did this. The patient came in and said, for example, doctor, I'm feeling very weak. Okay, so let's order some tests. I'm going to order a blood count actually. Oh, doctor, I did a blood count yesterday. So where's the test result? Oops, I left it at home. That doesn't help. Even though actually I own a lab. It's important, I don't like to order unnecessary tests. So even though the lab is mine, I don't like to just say, hey, let's do another blood count. Let's do another test because it's really expensive. I'm not that kind of doctor. I don't like that. Because sometimes if the patient saves money on a test, they can use that money to buy medicine later. So I don't like to order unnecessary tests. Still talking about unnecessary tests, we have a lot to discuss. I'm going to record a video just about that. Which tests are they? Which ones are right for each symptom? The right ones for the right diseases. Okay, so follow us there so you can check out that video I'll be posting too. So, tests. If you have test results, even if I wasn't the one who ordered them, bring them. There are some doctors, I don't agree with this attitude, who say, if I wasn't the one who ordered the test, I don't want to see it. What's up with that, man? Where'd you get that from? The test isn't yours, the test belongs to the patient. And if the patient had a blood test yesterday, why would you want to repeat it today? Okay, there are some cases where it's necessary, but sometimes it's not. So, electrocardiograms, blood tests, cardiology exams, tests ordered by other doctors, it doesn't matter. The test doesn't belong to the doctor, the test belongs to the patient. So, bring and carry all your test results with you. Some patients come here with a big bag full of That's not a problem. I'll look at the test results. I won't read every single one, but I'll flip through them and see which ones are important. So maybe I won't need to order the same test again, okay? Now, moving on to the middle of the appointment. It's very common for patients to come in full of expectations, anxieties, and questions. And sometimes during the appointment or right after it starts, they say, "Doctor, what is it that I have? What could this be?" I see this almost every day. For example, a patient comes in and says, "Doctor, I have chest pain. What could it be? What might it be?" Sometimes we're just at the beginning of the appointment, just starting the clinical reasoning process. If I immediately tell you for sure what it is, it's very it's very easy for me to make a mistake with the diagnosis. So it's really better for us to wait until the end, and by the end of the appointment, I'll answer most of the patient's questions. And if I don't answer, then yes, before you leave, and if necessary, during the appointment, write it down. "Doctor, I have a few questions I want to clear up before I go." And clear up your doubts before you leave. But in the middle of the appointment, hold on a bit. Don't ask questions like that just yet. "What do you think I have?" Because that's something for the end of the appointment, a final diagnosis, okay? So, medicine is a process of understanding. So, from the moment the doctor starts getting information from the patient, they're building a diagnostic hypothesis. And during the appointment, we either rule out or increase the likelihood of one condition or another. So, this information needs to be coherent, concise, and progressive. Really, there's no need to keep repeating the same information. "Doctor, did I already tell you that I take this medication?" "Doctor, remember that I take this medication." You don't need to. Let's talk about the medication at the right time and about the symptoms. Add another time about the tests. Add another time so we can move forward with the appointment. Okay? So it's important to maintain clear communication. You, as the patient, should say what you really feel, what really worries you. For example, "Doctor, okay, I understand, but I want to know if what I have is serious. I want to know if what I have means I'll have to take medication for the rest of my life or not." So be clear with your questions. Now we're moving on to a very important topic. My wife really likes to watch it. House. House is a doctor. It's a series about an American doctor. And he has several very memorable quotes. But one of them is, "Every patient lies." And I find that interesting because I actually think this will have a big impact on the influence of AI within the doctor's office. Why? AI really does help a lot. However, many times the patient can't provide all the information, or when they do, it's partial, incomplete, and sometimes not even true. What does that mean? I'll give two examples here. One of them is the patient starts telling me everything. Suddenly, they turn to me and say, "This happened today. This happened today. Doctor, the medicine you prescribed made me feel really bad." But that doesn't make sense because I only changed your medication a little bit. I just increased it slightly. "All right, doctor, here's the truth. I wasn't taking that medication, and the one you prescribed me now, I'm taking it exactly as directed. Now it's different. My blood pressure dropped too much. So let's lower the dosage. Let's keep using the medication, but you have to take it every day." So he left out some information. He wasn't taking the medicine every day. Here's another example that happens almost every day in the office. I'm talking with the patient, I'm still gathering information during the medical history, and then many times the patient is sitting on this side and the companion is right over here in my office. And then I'm asking the patient, "Okay, do you smoke?" Then I ask, "Do you drink?" And I look at the companion. Why? The companion's reaction tells me more than the patient's words. If the patient says, "No, doctor, I don't drink," but the companion widens their eyes, looks to the side, tightens their mouth, the companion's gestures tell me much more than the patient's words. The patient is lying. It's obvious that he drinks, but it's important for you as a patient, and that's what this video is for, to give truthful information. Tell the truth. Doctor, I drink. Doctor, I smoke. How much do you drink? How much do you smoke? No, doctor, I drink just a little. How much? Doctor, it's this many bottles on Friday, this many on Saturday, and on Sunday. I don't drink. Tell the truth. You use drugs, you don't use drugs. These are pieces of information that will be useful for the final diagnosis. So tell the truth. If you're taking medication, if you drink alcohol, if you use drugs, if you do, medications that were prescribed by the doctor or not. Doctor, I take all these medications, but I self-medicate. It's important for you to tell the truth, okay? Now, heading towards the end of this video, but there's still important information. Pay attention. This goes for both doctors and patients. It's good for you to choose a good doctor. Ask about this doctor. Gather information. On Instagram? Yes. Now, Google? Okay. But try to talk to people who have already seen this doctor. What did they say about this doctor? What information did they give about him? What is this doctor's experience? Oh, he did his residency here, did his residency there. Okay, but what about his experience? Not just his degrees or education, but what area does he actually have experience in? I know doctors who don't have a specialty in terms of residency or titles, but they have a lot of experience in a certain subject. So it's important for you to know and gather this information before you go to the doctor. Right. So that you go to the doctor, right? And when you talk to this doctor, pay attention to how they communicate. Sometimes they might be firm in their statements, but do they speak with kindness and care? Or do they just come across as arrogant? I can make a big difference. And at the end of the appointment, to wrap up both the consultation and this video, remember, ask questions, clear up your doubts, and make sure you understand everything. When should you come back? What tests do you need to do? How long will you need to take those medications? And if you feel any symptoms or discomfort because of the medications or between this appointment and your next visit, what should you do? Ask if there's a contact phone number or not, or if you should go to the emergency room, or if, based on what the doctor says, you should just take the medication, and if you have a certain symptom, then ask about that. And clear up all your doubts. So that's what I needed to tell you all. While you reflect on what you just learned in this video and realize that this information could help other people, do the following. Like this video and share it with people who could benefit from the information in it. And it's really important for you to share because sometimes when we share certain information, it reaches people whose experiences can be transformed by it. And in this case, for example, helps them have a better experience at the doctor's office. And maybe even a doctor is watching this video and will change a little bit the way they provide care. And remember, health is more than just looks. It's about longevity and performance. Big hug, and see you in the next video.